Hey, gang. Well, the Booneville Bearcats last night had a chance to get into their first playoff game of the year. And, well, you probably guessed by the title of this video what this one's going to be all about. It's going to be sort of a wrap up of the Bearcats season. And as you probably would have guessed, they lost last night to the Batesville Southside Southerners. And before I get into that game, I want to do like I did last year and read you guys the scores of how they did against everybody they played. Real quick. First game of the year, they took on Pea Ridge and lost 41-22. And the following week, they took on Gravett and they won 21-7. They took on Valonia and lost 24-20. And then they took on Pottsville and lost 28-27. That game went into overtime. Then they took on Ozark and beat them 14-0. And then they took on Dover and won 21-14. And then they took on Waldron and won 36-7. Then they took on Dardanelle, lost 17-7. And then they took on West Fork and won 42-0. And then they took on Subiaco in probably what was one of the saddest games I think I've seen all year. And they beat Subiaco again, 42-0. And then, of course, last night they had a home game in the playoffs against Batesville and lost 21-13. So the Booneville Bearcats, they wrap up this year with an overall record of 6-5. And I gotta say, in all honesty, this year's record, of course, naturally, is a lot better than last year's. Last year they went into the playoff game with a 4-6 record, and they wound up ending the season last year with 4-7. And I said a lot of, I admit, I said a lot of bad things last year, but this year, I really can't say anything bad. I mean, they really went out there, they did their best, and they did everything they could to win at all costs. And a lot of things happened at the Batesville game that I thought was a little ridiculous. And something also happened that made me feel kind of sad. One particular thing that happened that I thought was very ridiculous was the fact that it looked like Booneville was going to tie up the game at one point. They had the ball. They were going to go for a field goal kick, and apparently a referee from Batesville Southside. Isn't that kind of ironic, though? Batesville Southside. Think of the initials. Anyway. Basically, the kicker goes to try and get the extra point to tie it up 14-14, and the Batesville Southside referee said something like he stepped over the line or something like that, of where he was supposed to kick at or something like that, and it really ticked off a lot of people. I mean, there were a lot of things that happened at the game that just really ticked a lot of people off and everything. And something I saw that was a little bit sad. I think it was maybe 3.5 to 4 minutes left in the game, and Batesville was leading 20. Well, as you just heard it right there, 21-13, and the people in the stadium just started piling out like crazy. And it was about around 2.5 minutes, give or take. Booneville really started making a comeback, and then Batesville decided to just, take a knee and everything like that, kind of run out the clock and all this other nonsense. So I thought to myself, well, that was pretty stupid. That was pretty low, I mean, it wouldn't have killed them going to overtime. I mean, yeah, the game was over about around 9:30, which had to have been one of the longest games they've had. I mean, I get up there close to halftime, and Booneville's leading 7-0, and there's all this hype going around about this hotshot quarterback that Batesville had, and they said, "Oh, the guy's got an arm like a cannon." I'm sitting there thinking, like, you know what, you know what they say about hype. Usually, it's just it's here or there. And my buddy Reno and I, at one point, were sitting on the Batesville side, just having a little fun, being goofy. And we saw the kid throw a football, and they were right. He's got an arm like a cannon. But, you know, there was just so much nonsense at that game that happened. And one point of it that really kind of showed me that, you know, these guys, they're human beings. Quite a few seniors actually got really emotional, realizing that, you know, this was their first playoff game and their last game of the year, and that really showed right there that, you know, again, they're human beings. You know, they can show emotion. They can show if they're upset or hurt. That you know, they're not going out there trying to be monsters or inhuman or anything like that. When they're upset, when they're defeated or anything like that, anything you want to call it, they can show that they can show that, you know, we have feelings and everything like that. And it is kind of heartbreaking to know that, you know, this was their first playoff game, the last game of the year, unfortunately. And just to see that, just to hear that, you know, that happened, really shows you that, you know, they gave it their all for this town, for their fans, and you know, I say God bless them. You know, I mean, I always went to the games just to have fun, see people, everything like that. But I think after tonight, what happened, again, it just really showed those guys out there. They want to do everything they could, and you know, some people may sit there and say, well, you know, they really ultimately did it just because, you know, when they graduate in May of next year, they want to look back and say we were part of a winning team. But I think in a lot of ways they did what they did. They wanted to show that, you know, we're human beings deep down, and I'm sure they feel disappointed. They let their fans down, but maybe next year they'll do a whole lot better. And again, 6-5 record overall. It's better than 4-7. I'll say that much. And the interesting thing is that this is the first time ever that Batesville Southside had ever been to a playoff game, ever. But here's where it gets kind of funny. Batesville Southside is currently holding a record of 8-3, because they were 7-3 going to the game, obviously. Next Friday, they're going to be taking on the Nashville Scrappers, and Nashville is undefeated. This is going to be fun. So yeah. So I just want to do this little rant wrap-up video for you guys to tell you how the Bearcats did. And, of course, anybody living here in Booneville who saw the game and want to leave their thoughts down below about what they thought of the game, what they thought of the whole thing. Love to hear from you guys. And what you thought about that Batesville game. What you thought of any of the games, you know, no matter which ones you went to, what you thought of them. And, of course, if you guys want to share some thoughts too. Even if you're not from Booneville, you want to share some thoughts on this whole thing. I'd love to hear from you guys. And of course, if you like my videos, always feel free to hit that subscribe button. Where is it? Maybe it's right there. Right there. It's possible. But Booneville Bearcats, you'll get them next year, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless you all. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay strong and rock on.